We've got to talk about the mood. The festive lights are long gone. Blue Monday has passed. And if you have walked into a coffee shop, a boardroom, or a networking event across the UK this week, towards the end of last year, you felt it. The energy is palpable. It's heavy. There's a collective anxiety hanging over the British business landscape right now. And it's just not the weather. If you open the papers, scroll through LinkedIn, you are seeing the same headlines as I have, I am sure. For a while now, we've been bombarded by headlines of millionaire migrations, the great wealth exodus, capital gain tax hikes, among other taxes, the brain drain, and so on. It feels like the smart money is packing its bags, doesn't it? I was speaking to a client just a few days ago, a successful business owner, who told me that he feels like a fool for staying behind. He said, "Why am I grinding this hard when the environment seems designed to make it harder and harder for me?" This is a valid question. If you're feeling the urge to pack your bags and leave, well, and look at the tax bill, and then look at the flights to Dubai or other places that are more tax efficient and tax friendly, you're not alone. But while everyone is obsessed with who is leaving the United Kingdom, almost nobody is asking the profitable question: who is staying right now to lead? Are you going to stay? Welcome to the Awareness Goal Setting Series on the EG Success Mindset podcast, a space created to help business owners, team leaders, and individuals understand their personality, optimize their performance, and multiply their productivity. I'm launching this new series right now in the middle of uncertainty for a specific reason. Because I don't see a crisis per se. I see physics. In physics, nature abhors a vacuum. When matter leaves a space, something must rush to fill it. Right now, your competitors are contracting. They are freezing up because of the budget, or they're literally leaving the country because of the tax elements. This is creating a massive vacuum, a hole in the marketplace, a service gap, talent pools opening up, customer loyalty is up for grabs. And if not yet, this is happening. The timid are leaving, the bold are staying to fight on. And this is a serious statement. You can feel it in the political landscape. There is a fight. Opportunities are up for grabs. The old systems are being torn down. The question isn't about the economy. The question is, do you have the awareness required to fill the void, to see the opportunities created by those leaving? Before we move into the how-to of this 90-day shift, I want you to reframe how you look at the next 3 months. History teaches us one thing about business: fortunes are made in transitions. When the tide is high, every boat floats. It's easy to make money when the interest rates are zero, confidence is high. It doesn't require much leadership. It just requires attendance, just showing up. But when the tide goes out, this is when we see who is actually swimming, and especially if they are swimming naked, as in unprepared. Right now, we are seeing a vacuum event. Warren Buffett has always been saying, when there is blood on the streets, that is the time to buy. Let's imagine your specific sector, whether it's in property, finance, tech, and services. And yes, there is massive disruptions, massive global shifts. But keep in mind, we still remain human. The human needs are the opportunities we need to look into. So let's imagine your specific sector. The people who built their business in the past times, I'm not going to say they were easy times, are looking at the current new regulation and changes, and they're saying it's too much. They are out. They are leaving. They're selling up. They're retiring early. And some of them are moving offshore. We are hearing this in the news right across the country. When they leave, they don't take demand with them. The customers still remain. The need is still here. You and I who are staying, we still need to be served. This creates a vacuum. But the vacuum is a violent space. It demands to be filled immediately. If you're paralyzed by fear, it's not possible for you to see, let alone feel that gap. If you're complaining about the government, you're not going to see it either, because your focus is in the wrong direction. To fill the vacuum, you need expansion. You need to take space. You need to get louder. You need to get bolder. You need to be more present than you have ever been. And you cannot do this with your current mindset or your old mindset. You cannot navigate the new economy with an old identity. I like how Jesus put it. It is not a wise thing to put new wine into old wineskins. Which means the old version of doing business is changing. We need now to upgrade the way we think, look at our customers through different eyes, and feel their needs differently. So how do you trigger the expansion? How do you move from the old mindset into a new way of thinking? This is why I bring the framework I call A.W.A.R.E is an acronym. A.W.A.R.E stands for alignment, clarifying direction and intrinsic value. The W stands for awareness, understanding paradigms, and the RAS filters, the filters in your brain that shift what you see. Action, potential through aligned peak state movement. That is, you are aligned and you're taking action based on where you're going. Reinforcement, social support, and collective synergy. If you're going to go far, you need a team. If you want to go fast, going alone is the easiest thing to do. And then finally, the E is for evaluation, extracting learning, and identity upgrade. This is a 5-step goal-setting method or framework that will explain how you move from where you are to where you want to be. And with the A.W.A.R.E goal framework, you can shift from the noise around you and stay focused to where you want to go. So today, I want to talk about the first A in alignment. If you're staying in the UK to build a business this year, you need a big reason, bigger than the tax rate. You need a bigger reason than the fear from politics and from changes. If your motivation is just to make money, and I do know that that's a primary reason for business, the current environment will crush you because the government just made it harder to keep that money. Its hands are getting deeper into our pockets. When the rewards get harder to get, the motivation dies. So if the primary drive is to make more money, and the government is saying they're going to take most of it away from you, well, what's the point? You need alignment with a vision that makes the external noise irrelevant. That's why you have to switch. So the money is on the outside, the government is on the outside. You need to go back within and begin to ask yourself deeper questions. You need to align from inside out. When the sound from inside becomes louder and louder than the noise from without, you have mastered your life. That's what Dr. John DeMartini says. When the noise from inside swallows out the noise outside, you have mastered your life because you're living from the inside out. Now, that kind of goal that you have to drive from within is what we call a type C goal. Okay, so there's three types of goals. Number one, a type A goal is the goal that you already know what to do. It's like a job. You show up on a Monday or on a Tuesday, you go in and you do what you must do. And maybe, add some extra bits and bobs. That's maintenance. And in a shrink economy, it's regression. Okay, if inflation is increasing and you're doing the same thing, well, expecting a different reward is it's not wise. Then we have a type B goal. This is doing what you think you can do. Oh, last year I sold X. I can sell maybe, 10% more. Okay, last year I did this. This year I can do a little bit more. That's a type B. There is a certain element of movement, but it's not as exciting. It's logical, it's safe, but there's a problem. Logic is the first thing that dies when you read the scary headlines. When the news is bad, logic tells you to retreat, and it's controlled by a small part of your brain at the back, the stem side of your brain called the amygdala. When we read bad news, scary news, and especially for us in business, when you hear the government wants more from you, wants to control you, wants to take stuff from you, most of us fear. And fear triggers freezing. We stop. And we try to protect ourselves. Now, but in order to lead into the future, in order to go through these lean, mean times into the greater, greener pasture times, which are coming, because we know policies goes in cycles, we need a type C goal. Now, so what is a type C goal? A type C goal is a goal that will require for you to grow. Now, in order for you to grow, you need to know who you are. You need to understand your personality. That's where the code framework comes in. And if you have not taken the code framework, I would highly recommend go to mycodeprofile.com and register your interest. Begin to develop your self-awareness. So a type C goal then, it's a goal that you have no idea how you're going to achieve it. It is based on a fantasy. It defies the current logic of any economy. Maybe it's doubling your revenue. Maybe it's buying out a competitor. Maybe it's launching a global product from your living room. It makes no logical sense, but the thought of it keeps you awake and fight for it. If you could have what you desire, what would you be willing to do to get it? Because in fact, all psychology, all philosophies, the highest level of performers, we understand this one thing. The laws of nature have been created in such a way that you can get what you desire, but there's going to be a price, regardless of taxes, even though you always have to pay your taxes. So alignment means anchoring yourself to the fantasy, not to the news stickers in the BBC and the CNN and the rest broadcasters. They say bad news is what makes news. That's a lie. You and I cannot afford to be controlled by the news headlines. So now setting a fantasy goal is easy to say, but living it requires a change and a shift in the mindset. Apostle Paul said, keeping our eyes to the things above. So which means you've got to have an orientation towards that fantasy, towards that goal. And especially when there is so much noise and bad news noise. I want to look at specifically why you might be struggling this week. I use the code personality system to profile leaders. And I want to walk you through how the UK vacuum is affecting each personality type. So we're going to look at each code in the personality system. And I want you to look out for yourself and see whether you can identify with what I'm about to say. So my first code is the C. These are my connectors. You value harmony. You value relationships. You're a people person. Your struggle right now is absorption. You are an emotional sponge. You are going to meetings and absorbing fear of your staff, your colleagues, your clients, your peers. You feel the exodus as a personal rejection, depending on where you are. Knowing that your colleagues are leaving makes you feel a certain way. You feel heavy. Now, what do you need to do? Protect your energy field. That's where I would go first. Again, you're a connector, which means you're open. You love to give. But in these moments of fear, if you're not careful, the fear will kill you. It will suffocate you. So you need to protect your energy field. The market needs your empathy, but it needs you to be a lighthouse and not a thermometer. Don't reflect the cold temperature of the market. You need to stay and keep warm, because in your warmth, people will come closer to you. You will magnetize them. What about our O's, our organizers? You value stability, you value order, and you value structure. And let's be honest, right now, and especially in the political landscape, the UK feels chaotic, let alone Europe. In fact, the whole world. There's a lot of chaos. All rules are being thrown up everywhere. The rules keep changing almost by the week. Your struggle is the freeze. You stop. You're waiting. You're waiting for the next budget announcement. You're waiting for the next shift in the economics. You're waiting for the next thing to settle down before you make a commitment. And again, this is your personality. Right. What can you do? Stability is not something that you find outside, even though it drives you a lot. It's something that you create within you. Remember, you are an organizer. It is you who is an organizer. Now, the outside has its rules, but if you lose your organizing system or personality, you lose the battle. So, the type C goal is the anchor. If you stay focused on your type C goal and only think about how you're going to structure it and to continuously organize on how you're moving yourself, your team, your customers one step at a time, that's where your security comes from. Stop waiting for permission to build order. Give yourself the permission. It is your gift being an organized person. What about my detail-oriented leaders, my Ds in code? You value logic and data. So right now, your struggle is analysis paralysis. You're looking at spreadsheets. The margins look tighter. You're modeling worst-case scenarios through and through because failure to you is only a matter of data. You're talking yourself out of growth because the data says risk and you can't afford to risk it. Now, you cannot model type C future using type A data. What does that mean? If the type C goal causes you to fantasize about a better future, and right now all the data you're getting is negative and risky, your brain shuts down and you start looking at how to preserve yourself. Now remember, preservation and growth requires very different directions. So if you're going to move forward and capture the market that is opening up, you've got to put fear aside and you've got to start thinking. The past data is irrelevant in a vacuum. You need to calculate potential, not just risk. Yes, analyze risk, but it's so that you can stand firm based on the potentials you're looking at. Now, what about my lively people, my effervescent individuals? You are the fire starters. You are action-oriented. You are the ones who constantly are changing, moving. Your struggle is distraction. Right now, the biggest feel for an effervescent individual is to find the fastest way out, is to run. Leave, move the headquarters to Dubai or somewhere. Let's start a crypto farm. Let's pivot early. You're trying to outrun the boredom of the pressure. Because as an effervescent individual, being controlled is one of the worst things you can do. Someone can do to you. Now, what I would say is stop. Stop and breathe. That isn't a strategy. Running is never a strategy. It's a distraction. The vacuum is here. Use the high energy to disrupt your current market, not to chase a shiny object across another time zone or potentially a promise of a tax benefit. And yes, it's good to work and pay as little tax as possible. But realize this, sooner or later, things change. And the once tax haven, maybe turn around. The opportunity is here. Do you see where you fit? Whether you're a freezing organizer or an analyzing detail-oriented person, an absorbing people person, or a running effervescent individual, the solution is the same. Alignment. Exodus is just a headline. The vacuum is the opportunity. For every problem, there is an equal opportunity. Every coin has two sides. It's always easier to see the downside. The upside requires work. But it is possible that you can see the upside if you turn down the volume of the noise of the headlines. While your competitors are packing their bags, let's prepare to punch. This is week 1 of our 90-day identity shift. I'm not asking you to ignore reality. I am asking you to create a new reality. This is what science is telling us today. This is what preachers and prophets have always been saying. If you can see it in your mind, you can hold it in your hand. If you believe it, you can have it. This is not woo-woo stuff. This is grounded in the newest form of science. So what I'm saying again is, it's not ignoring reality. It is acknowledging the reality, but deciding there is a better version or a new reality that you and I can create. So for the next 7 days, I want to give you some homework. Why not? Let's call it the media detox. Filter your inputs. If a news source makes you feel small, feel a bit shaky, afraid, turn it off. If a contact makes you feel scared, mute them. If you cannot build a type C goal on a diet of fear. It's not possible. So that's number 1, media detox. And be careful who you're listening to, because they will either feed the fear or feed the faith for you to move forward. You can't do both at the same time. Number 2, define your fantasy. Write down your type C goal. What gets you excited? I was talking to a young man today, and he told me that his goal this year is to make a certain amount of money. And I told him, why not double? Oh, I need to make baby steps. Whereas that might sound good, is it an acknowledgement of fear? Same thing with yourself. What is your type C goal? Not the small, smart goal. Not the safe goal. The one that makes you smile when you think about it. It makes you feel excited and terrified at the same time, because you don't even know how to react to it. All you know is that you're excited about it, but it's equally terrifying. The vacuum is an open space. And when you write down your type C goal, I want you to think of it this way. Write it in the present tense. I am so happy and grateful now that. I am so happy and grateful now that. Decide right now that you are the one who are going to stay and lead. Stay and lead, because those who are left behind need you. In episode 2, we are going to talk about why policies change but values don't, and how to stop the government from living rent-free in your head. My name is Anis Kikuma, and until next time, stay focused and welcome to the shift. God bless, and I'll see you again soon.